most of the students that came to me had their 1 year of preparation, had their 2 year of preparation, and also they were students who were attending the prelims for the third time. Benjo was a product of St. Stephen's. Now, one of the mistakes that he did in his preparation was that he was mostly into self-preparation. He was not prioritizing his topics. Let me tell you, he was reading the whole R. Sharma without even prioritizing the important areas such as Gupta, Maurya, literature, Buddhism, Jainism, and whatnot. What did Benjo do then? After my guidance to him, he started reading through the PYQs. He understood what are the repetitive themes. He analyzed the micro themes. He started making notes regarding the micro themes, and he started revising on the micro themes as well. After analyzing the PYQs, what do you understand? Now, the most important subject would be geography, economy, environment and biodiversity, polity, and then history, right? So once again, as I said, good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are fine once again. So I know most of you would be going through a bad phase right now, right? Because most of you would have written your prelims. Most of you must have written your second prelims. Most of you must have been planning on which academy to take, what course to enroll, and all those stuff, right? Now, what I want to do is basically listen to all the stuff that I'm going to say today. Also, I need you to dedicate the next 30 to 45 minutes with me, because you must be having a lot of doubts regarding everything that I said just now. Now, in the next 45 to 30 to 45 minutes, I'm going to clear all the doubts that you have. Okay? So today, I won't be focusing mostly on Benjo, but then Benjo would be one of my case studies, okay? I would be focusing on Nebin. I would be focusing on Nasrin. Also, one of the most important things that I want to focus today is to provide you a holistic plan, a holistic strategy, and how to clear the UPSC prelims, mains, interview, as well as get your name into the holy PDF. Now, let me tell you, UPSC is not a dream, okay? It's a war. And how do we win a war? How do we win a war? It's about strategies, right? Recently, you saw Indian army defeating the Pakistan army, right? Mostly because of the strategies. Also, yesterday, the Ukraine army launched the Operation Spiderweb. And what did they do? They had planned it for around 1.5 years, right? And they were able to destroy around 40 to 50 of Russian airplanes. Now, how did they do it? Let me tell you, it's all about the strategies. Okay. You also might be so intelligent. You must have studied from the bestest institutes of India, like the IITs, IIMs, or even the Delhi universities. But if you don't have the right strategies, let me tell you, you're going to fail in UPSC. Now, that's where the role of a mentor comes in. Okay. Now, let's dive directly deep into what we are going to say today. Now, before going to the session, let me introduce myself. My name is Sreejay. I have written 4 mains examinations, and I am working currently as a senior mentor in Civilsdaily IS. Now, previously, I had worked in Fortune IS Academy, which is an academy in Kerala, and let me tell you my experience there. Okay. So, I had worked there as a mentor for prelims, and I had around 90 mentees. Now, what I understood from working there is that, once again, most of the students that came to me had their 1 year of preparation, had their 2 year of preparation, and also they were students who were attending the prelims for the third time. But then let me tell you, almost 80 to 90% of the students did not have a proper clarity on regarding even how to attend the prelims. Most of them were attending around 60 to 70 questions. Most of them did not have a proper time management strategy. They were reading the whole books. They did not know where to focus, what are the micro themes, which are the areas that you should focus. They were very plain. They did not know what to do. Now, let me ask you, how did that happen? How did it happen? After even 3 to 4 years of preparation, or even 2 to 3 years of preparation, they did not know what to study. Now, how did it happen? Can any of you tell me, how does it happen? Even after investing 2 to 3 years, why don't they know the basics of how to clear the UPSC prelims? Now, can anyone tell me? what does it happen? They do not focus on the PYQs as Yojana said. Any other person? Why does it happen? Any other person other than Yojana would like to comment upon? They don't know the syllabus. They don't focus on the PYQ based themes as Soumya said. Good. Now let me tell you, they don't know the basic foundation. Of course, they must, they must be lacking in a bit of basic foundation. But let me tell you, the biggest thing that they're doing wrong is because they didn't have the proper mentorship or someone didn't guide them. Because UPSC is a vast ocean, right? If you don't know where to fish, you'll never find the fish. And that's how, or else that's where the role of a mentor come in. Okay. So after my initial interaction with everyone, I understood that almost 8 out of 10 people did not have the right mentorship. And let me tell you, I began my preparation in 2018 in an institute called Shankarayas Academy in Trivandrum. In that institute, I did not have a proper mentor. I didn't know what to focus. I didn't know what to read. I didn't know how to apply the logical and elimination of basic techniques and all. But then how did I reach here? It's mostly due to my effort. But then let me tell you, in your case, it should never happen. Because currently, you have endless resources out there. You have endless videos of toppers. You have endless videos of rankers, their success strategies and everything. But then why still now people fall out and they do not know what to focus? It's because previously there were no content. Now currently we have almost infinite content. People listen to one topper, they take one strategy. People listen to another topper, they take another strategy. Now there's a whole era of confusion on what to follow, who to follow, because in one topper in 1 year might say another strategy. The other topper in 2024 might say another strategy. So which do you follow? Now let me tell you, that's where the role of mentor come in. You need to know yourself, and let me tell you, a mentor knows more than you. Okay, and he or she would be able to guide you. Now, let me first take the case of Benjo. Now, Benjo, as you said, is currently working as a deputy collector in one of the northern districts in Delhi. I personally came to know about Benjo after his first 2 failed prelims attempts. Now, Benjo was a product of St. Stephen's. Now, one of the mistakes that he did in his preparation was that he was mostly into self-preparation. Now, what do you think would happen to a person who's self-preparing for UPSC? Now, what do you think would happen? You can tell me? What do you think would happen? UPSC is a vast ocean, right? Pratik is telling about the right guidance, definitely. Any other person? Doesn't have the right guidance. Now, let me tell you, that's exactly the case that happened with Benju as well. Okay, even though he had the potential, okay, he was a highly potential guy, but then he was not prioritizing his topics. Let me tell you, he was reading the whole R.S. Sharma without even prioritizing the important areas such as Gupta, Maurya, literature, Buddhism, Jainism, and whatnot. He had a very factual and linear thinking. He did not know how to eliminate the PYQs. He did not practice the PYQs, and he did not know how to apply the logical and elimination techniques. He had a lack of strategies, namely the time management. He did not have a proper time management. He did not know number of attempts. And that actually, all this happened mostly due to his, self-preparation strategy. Now that's where the mentors come into role, right? Now, after my initial interaction, I came to know about all the mistakes that he was doing, and we began a strategy wherein, we have to overcome all these mistakes, right? Now, what about the first mistake that he did was the non-prioritizing topics. Okay. Now, the first and the most important thing that you should know in UPSC, in the UPSC syllabus is that you need to prioritize all the things, right? Because if you start reading everything under the sun, you won't be able to clear this exam. You'll never clear this exam. You need to know where UPSC asked, and how do you know that? You need to go through the PYQs. So, what did Benjo do then? After my guidance to him, he started reading through the PYQs. He started reading the PYQs. He understood what are the repetitive things. He analyzed the micro themes. He started making notes regarding the micro themes, and he started revising on the micro themes as well. Now, what are the micro themes? Now, I have said the word micro themes 3 times, right? Now, what are the micro themes? What areas should you focus? Now, how do you understand that these areas are the micro themes? It's basically by reading through the PYQs, right? Now, if you go through especially the ancient history questions, right? So ancient history, the weightage of ancient history is very less. You have around 3 to 4 questions every year. Now, when you go through that, what do you understand? UPSC mainly asks questions from the sites, like you have the Neolithic, Paleolithic, Megalithic, Mahajanpadas. In 2024 also, UPSC have asked about Mahajanpada sites. Then you have the Ashokan edicts. UPSC asked about literature, about the Sangam literature. UPSC have asked about the ancient dramas, the Sanskrit dramas. UPSC have asked. UPSC in this year also have asked about the Mauryan administration. So how do you understand this? It's by going through the PYQs, right? So after analyzing the PYQs, what do you understand? Now, the most important subject would be geography, economy, environment and biodiversity, polity, and then history, right? So where do you need to focus more? If you're starting your preparation today, you need to focus on these 4 topics, namely geography, economy, environment, biodiversity, and as well as polity and history. Maybe let's say we'll skip on to 5 topics. Now, this is something that everyone can tell you. If you have a basic idea regarding the syllabus, if you have a basic idea regarding the PYQ, this is something that everyone can tell us, right? There's no big deal in that. But then, if you dive deeper into the PYQs, then what do you understand? Then you will understand, right? There are a lot of micro themes that you need to focus. Now, here I have given some of the micro themes that you need to focus if you want to clear prelims. Now, what are they? In economy, or in case of UPSC prelims, in the last 10 years, most number of questions have come from RBI functions and monetary policy. Let's say 34 questions have come from the same. Next one is regarding the environment. In case of environment, the pollution sources, the mercury, sulfur, acid rain, and all other topics. In this year also, we had a question regarding the pollution. Now, it has been asked 34 times. Next ones are the government program. Now, in this year, UPSC have asked about 2 government programs, namely, I guess the PM Surya Ghar Bijli, the solar rooftop scheme, and also one more scheme. I don't remember the name of the exact scheme. So government schemes is one you need to focus because 32 questions have come from the same. And also in case of economics, economic growth and development is one area that you need to focus. Now, when you start your preparation, or if you're giving your next attempt, what are the areas you need to focus? It's not the whole environment or the whole economy that you need to focus equally. Rather, you need to focus mostly on those micro themes which are repeated a number of times in the UPSC PYQs. Okay, I hope all of you understood that. So, we'll deal with the importance of micro themes first. Then we'll dive into next topics. Now, why are the micro themes important? Because an average number of questions, an average number of static questions in UPSC. Let's say UPSC prelims have 100 questions, right? Now, how many static questions comes in UPSC? So you have the current affairs question and you have the static questions, right? So what do you think is the number of static questions that is asked in every year? What do you think? Definitely, Shivam, there's no doubt to it. The current trend continues. As I said, the Mauryan administration has been repeated this year as well. So what do you think? How many questions are asked in UPSC? The number of 60 plus? Good. Utkarsh is saying 40 questions. Good. Now, good number of questions. Now, UPSC, in case of UPSC prelims, around 50 questions are asked every year from the micro themes. all the themes, all the questions that we have, all the themes that we have discussed now. Now, what does 50 questions translate into? It translates into around 100 plus marks, right? So if you study all the micro themes, you can attempt close to 50 questions and that will give you around 100 marks. Now, what are the core subjects that you need to focus? History, economy, polity, and geography. This is something that everyone knows, but what do you need to focus? You need to focus on the micro themes regarding to that. Now, let me tell you, there are 3 levels to the micro themes. Okay. Now, what are the 3 levels of micro themes? Now, if you take the example of art and culture, okay, if you take the example of art and culture. Now, can anyone tell me what are the important areas to focus on the micro themes? Sorry, in case of art and culture. Sakshi, I'll actually answer your question later. Can we start the mains preparation then prelims? Yes, you can start the mains preparation, then you have to focus on prelims. Actually, in the first phases from June to December, we'll focus on mostly on our optional and also on making our GS notes. Then after December, we'll get into a prelims test series and we'll focus mostly on the prelims part. So Soumya is saying the monuments, temples, sites, good. Sarida, you'll have access to all the micro themes in the Civilsdaily website. Yeah, monuments. Amisha is saying about literature. Good. Now, if you look into the micro themes that we at Civilsdaily has designed here, you'll able to see that Buddhism and Jainism carries the most weightage, right? Like in the last 15 years, more than 22 questions have been asked from Buddhism and Jainism. Next, we have the architecture and rock cut temples. More than 16 questions has been asked. Now, then we have the Buddhist literature, Jainist literature, Hindu literature, wherein 13 questions have been asked. Now, this is how you should study. Okay. You must not prioritize, you must not read the whole Nitin Singhania or the plus 2 NCERT or the 11th NCERT as such. Rather, what should you focus on? You should focus on prioritizing these micro themes which carries the most weightage. Or else what would happen? You'll be reading the whole Nitin Singhania in one go. You would not be revising the important portions such as Buddhism, Jainism, architecture, and literature. So what should be doing? What should you be doing? You need to find out what are the micro themes first. Of course, you can read the whole book once. Okay. But then when you revise it, on which area should you focus more? You need to focus more on these micro themes. Okay. And what are the micro themes in art and culture? You need to focus mostly on Buddhism, Jainism, architecture, literature, and historical terms as such. So everyone clear? The first and the foremost thing that you need to change in your whole preparation strategy is not to read the whole book as such. Rather, you need to prioritize your book, you need to prioritize your chapters, and you should focus more on those areas wherein UPSC have asked a number of questions. Exactly by meaning, you need to focus on the micro themes. Everyone clear? So the first and the basic thing that you need to focus are the micro themes. Now, secondly, so you can see here, now, I told you we have 3 levels, right? The first one is the religious philosophies in art and culture. The second level would be the Buddhism. Now, Buddhism as such is not a micro theme. What is the micro theme here? Micro theme is what in Buddhism and Jainism should you focus on? You need to focus mostly on the sects and the founders, because if you look into the PYQ, you can see that mostly a number of questions I've asked from Madhyamika, Yogacara, Digyanaga, Asanga, and various other sects and their founders. So On how much level should you go? First of all, you need to understand, in case of art and culture, religious philosophies is the most important thing. Now, religious philosophies have Jainism, have Buddhism, and it also has the 6 schools of Hindu philosophy. 6 schools of Hindu philosophy. Now, this constitutes the first level. Now, when you analyze the PYQ further, you will understand that in the religious philosophies, Buddhism has the most weightage. Now, what do? You focus more on Buddhism. Now, under Buddhism, we have all the Buddha stories, right? We have all the 4 Buddhist councils. We have the Buddhist story. 29, he attained nirvana, and such and such and such. Now, should you focus all that? No. Now, what does the third level come on to? The third level is the most important part that I need to focus. Now, under Buddhism, what should you focus on more? We should be focusing on the different Buddhist sects such as Hinayana, Mahayana, Yogeshwara, Madhyamika, and all the different sects, and who were the founders of the sect. So, what should you focus on? You should focus on the micro themes, which is the level 1, and the level 1 is the religious philosophies. Under religious philosophies, which area should you focus more? We should focus more on Buddhism. And under Buddhism, what is the area we should focus more? We should focus on the sects, founders, and also you can say the caves and all such things. So, I hope all of you understood. This is the level of understanding that you need to have regarding all the syllabus. Now, if I am to take about polity, okay, in case of polity, the most number of questions have come from Parliament. It doesn't mean that you need to revise the whole Parliament n number of times. But then, if you dive deeper into Parliament, you will understand that most number of questions have come from the bills, such as what is the difference between the money bill and the financial bill. Now, what should you focus more on? You need to read more on what constitutes a money bill and what constitutes a financial bill. Now, this is a level of understanding that you need to have regarding the UPSC prelims. Everyone clear? Any doubts? Is everyone clear regarding the micro themes? It's not saying that in case of polity, Parliament has the most wastage. It's saying that among Parliament, you need to focus more on the money bill and the financial bill. This is a level of understanding, and this is a level of knowledge that you need to have regarding the micro themes. UPSC is all about basic history. Definitely, you need to have the basic knowledge. I mean, you need to have a good foundation to clear prelims as well as mains. Foundation is the biggest thing, okay? You need to invest a lot in your foundation. I mean, you need to have a proper clarity regarding all the stuff that you are studying. You need to have, a mind mapping. You need to have a better clarity regarding all the basic stuff. Okay, then only on the foundation only we can build up. So you need to have a proper foundation. So now, what did we say here? In case of Benjo's case, so he read through the PYQs, he understood the repetitive things, he started analyzing the micro themes as we have did now. Now, what is the next process that you need to do? Of course, in case of micro themes, you will have notes from there are a lot of information regarding the NCERTs. But then, is NCERTs enough in case of micro themes? Do you find a lot of information regarding Buddhism and Jainism in the NCERTs? Do you find? Ganesh, could you please tell micro themes and theme-based notes for mains? Definitely, we'll be going through the micro theme-based information for mains as well, Ganesh. Now, can anyone tell me, do we have such information regarding the Buddhism and Jainism in the Nitin Singhania or even the 6th or 7th standard NCERTs? Do we have a lot of information regarding Buddhism and Jainism? Anyone? Do we have a lot of information regarding Buddhism and Jainism? Okay, Radhika is saying no. Now, That is the reason why you need to make notes regarding the micro themes. Okay. So after we have analyzed the micro themes, now what is the next step? We need to make notes regarding the micro themes. Now, how will you make the notes? Always, the notes that you need to make should not be very bulk, or it should not be in paragraph. How should you make the notes? It should always be one-liner notes. Okay, you can actually split your page into two. Then, as you can see, this is a note of a topper. I believe it is a note of Elimination. So here he have analyzed a micro theme here. Now, what is the micro theme that he has analyzed here? It's about the European settlements. European settlements, meaning the settlements of the British, the French, the Portuguese. Now, why did he make such a note? It's because when you look into the PYQs of modern history, you will be able to find that UPSC have n number of questions regarding the same. In 2020, UPSC have asked about Barouch, Madanapalle, sorry, not Madanapalle, Barouch. There was a question regarding which of the following were set up by the Portuguese, or I guess the British. Now, why did he make a note here? It's because he identified that this is a micro theme. This is one area that UPSC can repeat further. Now, that's why he made a one-pager note regarding the same. Now, here you can see another one-pager note. Now, this is regarding the Neolithic site, the Megalithic site, the Mahajanapadas, and also the Ashokan edicts. Now, why do you think he made such a note? It's because sites are one of the most important areas in ancient history. In this year also, we had a question regarding the sites. Can anyone tell me which question it was? Which question did UPSC ask about the sites today? Sites this year? Anyone? Any idea regarding which question that UPSC asked this year? Anyone who have attended prelims this time, can anyone tell me? It's regarding the Mahajanpadas, right? UPSC have asked a question regarding the Mahajanpadas and the rivers flowing through that. Now, this is a micro theme. Now, what do you need to do? Understand the micro themes, and also you need to make a one-pager notes regarding the micro themes as well. So here, in case of Indian geography, the most number of questions have come from Indian rivers. In case of Indian geography, the most number of questions have come from the Indian rivers and the tributaries. Now, that's why you can see here a topper have made a note regarding the rivers here. Also, the national parks in which the rivers pass through. Also here, national parks is one of the important areas of UPSC. In 2021, UPSC have asked about the Pakkai National Park. Now, what can you see here? A topper have note made regarding the national parks as well. So, what do you need to do? You need to go through the PYQs. You need to identify the micro themes. And then what do you need to do? You need to make notes regarding the micro themes as well. Because you can be 100% sure that UPSC would ask a question regarding the same. So you need to have a proper note, or else, it's not basically about understanding the micro themes. Now, anyone can do that, right? I told you Buddhism is a micro theme, or in case of Buddhism, sect and the founders are a micro theme. But then if you don't have a proper note to that, then how would you study it? Now, that's the reason that notes are a mandatory in case of micro themes. Also, in case of soil, you can see here a beautiful table written here. Now, what does the table say? It says about the soil, different types of soil: alluvial, black soil, red and yellow, laterite, arid, saline, peat, forest soils as well. Now, soil is another important micro theme. So, what do you need to do? You need to go through the micro themes. After going through it, you need to read them. You need to make notes regarding the micro themes, and also you need to revise the micro themes. Now, that's how Benjo was able to he had a weakness regarding non-prioritizing the themes. Now that's how you remove that weakness. Now the second weakness that Benjo had was that his thinking was mostly factual and linear. Now what does that mean, factual and linear? Now let me take a question to say this in example. Now this is a question regarding micro themes which was asked in 2023. Now here you can see some microorganisms can grow in environments with temperature above the boiling point of water. Some microorganisms can grow in environments with temperatures below the freezing point of water. Some microorganisms can grow in areas in highly acidic environment with pH level below 3. Now, before we had our sessions, Benjo, how would Benjo think? He would think that he would think, are there any microorganisms which I am able to recollect? Okay, are there any microorganisms which he is able to recollect that lives below the pH level 3? Now this was his line of thinking before. Now he would recollect, or he would try to remember whether he knows any microorganism that lives below the pH level of 3. Now let me ask you, can you name any microorganism that grows below the pH level 3? Okay. Can you name any microorganism that grows below the pH level 3? Are you able to remember anything? Priyanshi is saying acidophiles. Now, is this the way that you should think? Should you be thinking, okay, I remember that acidophiles is one organism that grows, below the pH, can grow below the pH level 3. Therefore, this statement is incorrect. Now, is this the right line of approach? Should you be going through a factual and a linear approach here? Or you should think there are millions of or billions of microorganisms there, right? There are millions and millions of microorganisms there. Now, there would be at least one microorganism that would, among the millions and billions of microorganisms, there would be at least one microorganism that would be able to survive below pH level 3, right? Right? There are millions of microorganisms there. Among that, there would be at least one that could survive below pH level 3. Now, which do you think is the right approach here? Is the one in which you think factually, or the one which you think logically, that UPSC have used the word can here, right? So it is a very broader term. So therefore, should you think in a factual manner, or should you think that there are millions of microorganisms there, so at least one would be there, right? Now, which do you think is the right approach? Now, the right approach is the second one. Now, how was Benjo thinking? Benjo was thinking in the more of factual approach, wherein he would try to recollect whether he knows any microorganism that would live below the pH level 3. And if he didn't know that, he would make it incorrect. Now, what about this question? Gold mining activity is a source of mercury pollution in the world. Now, how should you think in case of this question? How should you think? Case of social area. Gold mining activity is a source for mercury pollution in the world. Now, if you go by the factual method, how would you think? We'll think that, okay, I have studied about mercury pollution. Now, have I ever heard that gold mining activity causes pollution? Okay, I have read about mercury pollution, and I haven't read about gold mining activity causing the mercury pollution. Therefore, I should take it wrong. Now, is this the way to do it? No, because UPSC here have given gold mining is a source. Now, is a source, right? Now, UPSC haven't introduced any extreme words here. UPSC haven't introduced the word significant. UPSC haven't introduced the word that it is a major source of mercury pollution. Now, can UPSC say that? Therefore, can UPSC say that gold mining activity does not even cause like 0.001% of mercury pollution? Can UPSC say that gold mining activity does not cause even 0.001% of mercury pollution? Now, can UPSC say that? UPSC cannot say that, right? Now, this is the way how you should change your method, okay? This is a way how you should refine your logical and elimination methods. We should not go by the factual methods. Rather, how should you think in case of UPSC? You should go by the logical and elimination methods. Let me tell you, I have taught him a lot and different number of logical techniques that you have seen here, that you can see here. Understanding the general and specific statements, multiple facts in the statements, positive and negative approach, constitution, extreme words, deconstruction, steadily and multiple increase. So there are a lot of logical and elimination techniques in UPSC. And let me tell you, UPSC haven't changed much of them, okay? Even in the case of 2025 prelims as well, most of the logical elimination techniques have worked in it. So this is one of the sessions that I take. And this is, a note by Benjo given to me after he actually cleared the, after he got into service. You can see here, the logical training is what made the most difference for me as far as my prelims was concerned. It was the single biggest differentiating factor from the first 2 attempts that he failed. Now, the logical session plays its own role. Let me tell you, if he's a good mentor, if he or she is a good mentor, he or she should be able to correct your proper line of thinking. Okay, if you're thinking factually, he or she should be able to identify that fault and make your approach into more logical and elimination one. And that's what I did in case of Benjo as well. Now, also let me tell you, Benjo was actually initially attempting only 75 questions. Okay, now is 75 questions a better attempt? No. Because when you look at the probability approach, you can see here that now here, let's say if you're attempting 76 questions. Okay, I have taken the cutoff here as 94. Okay, I have taken the cutoff here as 94. Let's say, how would you reach 94 if you're attempting 76 questions? Now, if you get 54 correct and 22 wrong, you'll get 94. If you attempt 88 questions, then you need to make 57 correct. 31 can be incorrect. Then also you'll reach 94 marks. You can attempt all the 100 questions. You need to get 60 correct and 14 correct. Then also you will get the same 94 marks. Now ask yourself, which is the better attempt here? Is it attempting 76 questions and getting 54 correct, getting 94 the right? Or attempting 88, getting 57 and getting 94, or attempting all the 100 questions, getting 60 correct and getting 94. Which do you think is the better attempt here? Which do you think is a better attempt? Now, what is the difference here? From 76 to 80, you have 4 questions, right? You have 4 questions. Among the 4 questions, if you make 1 correct, so if you're attempting 76, you need to get 54 correct. If you're attempting 80, so there's an increase of 4 questions. If you make 1 among the 4 correct, you'll get 55. You'll get the same 94 marks. So everywhere there's an increase of 4 questions, and everywhere there's an increase of 1 question to be made correct, right? So which do you think is the better attempt? Now there's nothing called as a better attempt or the best attempt, okay? What you need to understand is that if you are able to eliminate a single option from a question, you need to attempt that question, okay? That's why, or that's how I convinced him to believe in the principle of probability. Let me make you more clear. So there are 4 options in UPSC, right? You have options A, B, C, and D, right? You have 4 options. So if you attempt a question and you are, so let's say you are attempting 4 questions randomly, okay? You are attempting 4 questions randomly and you are not able to eliminate from A, B, C, D, none of the options in all the 4 questions, okay? There are 4 questions. question number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you have 4 options in all the 4 questions, right? And you were not able to eliminate none of the options in the 4 questions. Now, in such case, you have 25% chance of being correct, right? So you randomly attended 4 questions. At least one of them would be correct and the 3 would be wrong, right? So 1 would be correct in case of probability and 3 would be wrong. Now 1 into 2 is equal to 2 marks. You'll get 2 marks. And 3 into 0.66, because 0.66 is, when you get one answer wrong, you will lose 0.66. So 3 into 0.66 equal to 2. So in case of you randomly attempt 4 questions, 1 would be correct and 3 would be incorrect. You will gain 1 mark, 2 marks, and here also you will lose 2 marks. So there's no net addition. Okay, there's no point in attempting questions where you are not able to eliminate at least single option. But then what happens if you are able to eliminate a single option from a question? Let's say there are 4 options, A, B, C, D, right? You know that A is not the answer to this question. You know that A is not the answer. Now what is the probability here? The probability is not 25%, right? Because there are no 4 options left. Now the probability is 33%, right? Now the probability is 33%. Now, if you attempt 3 such questions, let's say 1, 2, and 3, in all the questions, you have doubt between A, B, C. Now what would happen? One of them would be correct and 2 would be incorrect, right? Now, 1 would be correct, you'll get 2 marks. 2 would be incorrect, you will lose 2 into 0.66, that is 1.32. So therefore, there's a net addition of 0.68. Now what happened here? In the first case, you were not able to eliminate either of the options. I mean, among the A, B, C, D, you were not able to eliminate even one of the options. But in the second case, you were able to eliminate one option. But then what happened here? The probability increased to 33%. Now, if you attempt 3 such questions, 1 would be correct and 2 would be incorrect. 1 correct meaning 2 marks, 2 incorrect meaning 2 into 0.66, that is equal to 1.32. Therefore, there's a net addition of 0.68. Right? Now, if you go by the probability principle, what is the maximum number of questions that you attempt? The maximum number of questions that you should attempt is, you should attempt all those questions that you are able to eliminate at least a single option. So let me tell you, I usually attempt in almost all the questions. Okay, I usually attempt all the 100 questions in UPSC prelims, and that's because I'm very good in my logical and elimination techniques, and I'm not asking you to attempt all the 100 questions in the next step. But then what should you do? You should be attempting all those questions wherein you are able to eliminate at least one option. Let's say among the A, B, C, D, if you know that C is not the answer, you should attempt that question. Now that's how I was able to convince Benjo to believe in the principle of probability, and that's how he increased his attempts from 75 to 97. Okay, so all of you should believe in the principle of probability. Now that's how you identify the mistakes among aspirants, right? That's how, see, mentorship is not about, just giving motivational talks, just consoling them. It's never about that. It's basically to find out the fault that you're doing. He was only attempting 75 questions. So what should I do? I need to convince him to attempt more questions. So how should I convince him? I provide a table. I show him that this is how it works and this is how we should do it. And actually that mattered the difference in case of him. Now, what about the time management? He did not have a proper time management strategy. Now we framed out a proper time management strategy. And in his talks, if you have listened to Benjo's talks, he would say that he was doing in a 30-minute target, wherein in the first round, he would attempt around 10 to 15 questions in the first 30 minutes. Then the second round for 1 hour, and the third round also he would be providing around 30 minutes. So what do you need to do? You need to split your time in 30 minutes, and in all those 30 minutes, you need to have a proper time plan. Now, what is the best thing to do? In the first the first round you need to complete in the first 30 minutes. And what do you do in the first round? You need to attempt only all those questions wherein you are able to eliminate 3 options. I mean, you get the answer to the question. In the second round, you should attempt all those questions wherein you are able to eliminate at least 1 option. In the third round, you attempt all the questions on the basis of your intuition and your logical and elimination techniques. So we'll dive actually deeper into it later, but then let me tell you, this is how a mentor plays a role, as I told before. Now, what about the mains approach? Now, here you can see the Benjo's marks in case of 2022 and 2023. In case of essay, he actually scored much better in essay. In the 2022 attempt, he scored around 125. But then in case of 2023, he was only able to score 99 because he did not practice his essays. He only wrote a few essays. But then if you look at almost all the other subjects, he has significantly improved from GS2 to 127. In case of GS4, he improved from 95 to 121. And also in case of optional as well, he has significantly improved. Now, what made the difference here? It's because he mostly focused on, in his fourth attempt, he mostly focused on around 90% of the time he dedicated for optional and ethics. Optional and ethics. Right? He joined an ethics module, and that's what makes the difference. Now, in case of mains as well, earlier a student asked me about how does the micro themes help in mains, right? Now, the micro themes helps definitely in case of mains as well. Now, what should you do in case of a mains preparation? Now, if you have not cleared your prelims this time, okay, what should you do now? You should be preparing your notes for GS and also your optional. Okay, you don't need to prepare your prelims in this particular point of time. What do you need to do? Mostly, you should be focusing on your optional and making your GS notes. Now, how should you make your GS notes? That's the biggest question because most of the aspirants get it wrong here. Now, in case of GS notes, you need to prepare the one-pager notes as we are showing here. This is the best method or the best strategy out there right now. Now, if you're mostly into the digital, if you're using Evernote, OneNote, or even the GoodNotes, you can prepare on that. But then if you're someone who like to write, who like to draw, who like to draw pictures, who like to draw diagrams and all, you should be preparing your one-pager notes as we have shown here. Now, how should you prepare your one-pager notes? It should not be written in big paragraphs. It should be focusing on how we write a mains answer. Now, how do we write a mains answer? We'll have a general introduction, right? Then we'll have a body part. In case of body part, we'll have the features. We'll have the advantages. We'll have the disadvantages. We'll have all sort of things, right? Advantages, disadvantages, challenges. Then you'll have the way ahead. This is a general template for note making. Now, it doesn't apply to all the cases. In case of geography, we don't have any advantage, disadvantage, or way ahead. In case of history, we don't have any advantage or way ahead. It mostly deals with GS2 and GS3. But then, how should you prepare? You should be preparing your one notes like this, wherein a page should be split into 2. Okay, mostly the page should be split into 2. It should not contain long paragraphs. Here you cannot see long paragraphs here. You can only see diagrams. You can see very script points here. What are the factors? Earth's rotation, salinity, obstructing due to landmass, leading to diversion, South Equatorial Current, Atlantic Ocean, right? So what do you need to do now? You need to start making notes, and you need to start making notes as we have discussed here. You need to prepare one-page notes. Now, why do we prepare one-page notes? See, imagine what all different topics do we have to study? We have around 14 to 15 topics to study for mains, right? We have internal security, disaster management, international relations. Now ask yourself, would you be able to revise all those topics in the 2 weeks of mains examination? Would you be able to revise all those things? Imagine GS1 is in morning, GS2 is in afternoon, GS3 is in the next day, and GS4 is in the next day afternoon. Would you be able to revise all those things in the few days? No, right? So how would you be able to revise all those things? It's only because you should have a proper note. And how do we make the proper note? It should be very crisp. It should not be written in paragraph. It should be written like this. Only then, let me tell you, you would be able to revise all those things in the limited amount of time that you have. And only then you will be able to score better marks in your mains as well. So in case of prelims, what do? We prepared notes on micro themes. We focused on micro themes and we prepared notes regarding the same. And what do we do in case of mains? We prepare notes on the repeated topics in mains as well. In case of mains as well, identify the micro themes such as Maoism is always asked, such as e-governance is always asked, such as citizen charter is always asked, such as tropical cyclones, ocean currents are always asked. And what do? We prepare a note, a one-pager note regarding the micro themes for mains as well. Everyone clear? So it's not only in the case of prelims you should make notes. In case of mains also you need to prepare your one-pager notes. Now here you can find micro themes based notes regarding Indus Valley civilization. Now what do you prepare notes regarding Indus Valley? It's because you analyzed the PYQ and you understood that in the last 10 years of UPSC mains, UPSC have asked 3 questions regarding Indus Valley civilization. Now you understood that Indus Valley is one of the micro theme. Now what do? You prepare a one-pager note regarding the Indus Valley for mains as well as the prelims as well. Now in case of prelims, how would the notes differ? The notes would be more on the Indus Valley sites where it is located, but also the different sites. Dholavira, what are the significance? Harappa, what is the significance? Mohenjo-daro, what are the significance? You have the bronze statue of a dancing girl, in Mohenjo-daro. That's how you prepare notes. But in case of mains, you will be focusing more on the urban planning. You'll be focusing on, the architecture, the society, the planning, and other stuff which is required in the mains point of view. In case of rocket architecture, you can see here a one-pager note regarding the rocket architecture, because architecture is also an important micro theme when it comes to mains point of view. Now, this is a way you should prepare your notes. Understand the micro theme in mains and also prepare a one-pager note regarding the same. So you can see here regarding the modern history also, you can see a one-pager note. You can see a one-pager note regarding the post-independence. Here is something that I explained. So in case of GS3, how do we know? How do we do it? You write about the characteristics. You write about the need. You write about the challenges. You write about the measures taken. And all points here, what can you see here? You cannot see big paragraph written. Almost all the points are written in one lines, and you have data and also examples which substantiate the same. Right? You have data and also examples that substantiate the same. Here, importance is written, challenges is written, and you can see here, transport is written here, and here a lot of data are written. Transport constitutes around 4.6% of GDP. In case of transport, road constitutes more, around 56%. Because in case of GS3, you need to write a lot of facts, you need to write a lot of reports, you need to quote SDG goals, government targets, codes, and all the other things. Mostly GS3 is all about content, okay? So you need to have a proper content. You need to have elaborate content regarding almost all the topics in GS3. In case of GS4, you can see here, you have beautiful notes regarding the GS4 as well. Now, you don't need to do all this, okay? Because we at Civilsdaily have made almost all the notes for you. We have the X Factor notes, which actually provides you the best content out there in the market right now. We also have the Samashar Manthan, which provides one of the best current affairs in the market. And we also have annotated NCERTs, annotated NCERTs is one of the significant feature of Civilsdaily. You can see here, we have divided the topics into green, blue, pink, peach, and yellow. And in case of green refers to the topics where the PYQs have already been asked. Blue refers to topics wherein there are important areas and we can expect the UPSC to ask in the future, because you can see here, it is written in blue. Pink is purely factual, like the year, you can see here, the years. The peach is for the definitions, and yellow are mostly the extreme statements. Okay, yellow are very significant, are mostly the extreme statements, but then they are true. You might feel they are very extreme, you might feel that incorrect, but then they are true. So we'll be providing the annotated notes as well, wherein you don't have to mark, you don't have to highlight all the important areas. We, as experts of the exam, have already highlighted the important areas. Therefore, you don't need, conserving a lot of time for you. So let me tell you, you don't need 45 years to clear this exam. Okay, when do you take 45 years? It's because, or why do you take 45 years? It's because on your first and the second attempt, you did not have a proper plan, you don't have a proper strategy, or you did not have a right guidance. But let me tell you, if you had the right guidance, if you had the right strategies, if you had the right intellect, and if you have made notes, if you have focused on micro themes, you can do it in your first 2 attempts. Now, why did Benjo clear in the first 2 attempts? Because he did not have a proper strategy. He was mostly into self-preparation. And I said, he watched a lot of YouTube videos that made him confused and all. But then what changed after his first 2 attempts? Then the right strategies came in, the right guidance came in, I believe. That's one of the difference that made. Also, he was a pretty brilliant guy as well. Now, I'll show you that if you focus on what we said now, that is focusing on the micro themes, studying on those micro themes, making notes regarding the micro themes in case of prelims. Also, if you make notes, as I have discussed now, mostly focusing on the micro themes in case of mains as well, and preparing a 1-page notes regarding the same, I can assure you that the way to your holy PDF will be very easier, and it would not take you more than 2 attempts to get into the holy PDF. But then you need to be very disciplined. There are different factors, okay? Just by making notes, you won't be able to clear, right? You need to be very disciplined. You need to study. You need to have a proper guidance regarding the same. If you do all this, once again, I'm assuring you, you can get into the holy PDF in the 2 to 3 attempts. Now, that's the case study of Benjo, who took actually 5 years to get into service. Now, what happened in case of Nebin? And let me tell you, Nebin is actually my foundation level student. Okay, he cleared his prelims, he cleared his mains, he cleared the interview, and he got IPS in his first attempt. Now, how did he clear? He did not do self-preparation. He had me as his mentor. So there was no dearth in case of guidance, elimination techniques, answer writing strategies. But then, one of the weaknesses that he had the lack of motivation. Now, Nebin was a very lazy guy, let me tell you. Nebin did not study like 8 to 10 hours every day. He was an intellectual guy, but then he was very lazy to study. Now, how did I make the difference? Now, what I did is, me and Nebin did was that we prepared a proper revision plan. We made a 75-day plan, a proper 75-day plan, wherein I divided 1 week for each of the subjects. Also, I asked him to send me his daily report. Now, what did the daily plan include? It include the date, targets completed, and his remarks. Now, how did this make a difference? Also, let me tell you, you might think this is, this is false, or he's actually, making this stuff up. But then, close to 1 month, close to 1 month or maybe 2 months, me and Nebin actually had a phone call every day at 8 p.m. wherein I would ask him what all things that he have done in this particular day, what all things that you have focused, what all things have you completed. So I knew that this guy had the potential. So I was going to go any extent to make sure that he clears the prelims, mains, and the interview in the same year as well. Now that's the difference that a mentor makes. Okay. So that's how we made this plan. We made this daily plan. So he got into a habit of discipline, and that's one of the difference that made and helped him to get into the IPS rank in his first attempt. Now, fine. Now, what about Nesrin? Nesrin is actually also my foundation student, but then Nesrin took 2 attempts. She actually cleared this time with a rank of 703. In case of Nesrin as well, the content, answer writing, good articulation, and everything was there. She was also a very fine student. But then one thing that she lacked was the elimination techniques. Now, how did she overcome it? It's by, as I told you, even all the people, including Benjo, Nebin, and Nesrin, attended my sessions, logical training sessions. Also, in case of Nesrin, once we focused at that, we had a very intense elimination strategy session with Nesrin. Now, what did we do? So every week, I would give her 15 logical questions. 15 logical questions. And we used to sit on one-on-one and also in a group. One-on-one and also in a group. And I would ask her these 15 questions and ask her, what logic do you apply to get the answer to these questions? Okay, so every week for almost 3 to 4 months, we had these one-on-one sessions wherein I would ask her different 15 questions every week. And I would also ask her, what is the logic to these questions, or how did she come to the answer? Now, by doing this method or by doing this exercise, she was significantly able to improve her logic, because every time she would make a question incorrect, I would tell her the proper logic to that. So that's how Nesrin was also able to, turn her weakness of elimination techniques into being strong in logical and elimination techniques. So as I have shown you, in case of different students, different strategies work. There will be different weaknesses in different students. So the purpose of mentoring or the purpose of a mentor, as I said before, is to identify those problems and identify those faults and actually give them the proper guidance. And basically mentorship is all about the course correction. Okay, so do you have any doubts, anyone? Any doubts regarding anything? Okay, Prashant is asking about the revision strategy. Okay, now let me tell you, in case of revision strategy, you need to follow. The first one is the active recall method. Okay, active recall method. And the second one is multiple revision method. Now, in case of multiple revision method, what do? You read a topic in Sunday. You need to revise it on Wednesday as well. Then you revise the whole thing again on the next Sunday. So there needs to be at least if a topic that you're reading, you need to revise it at least 3 times in a week. If you revise it around 2 to 3 times in a week, then it will stay in your mind. Now, the second one is the active recall method. Now, this is actually something which is actually going on the trend right now. Now, what does active recall do? Let's say you studied fundamental rights today. Now, what do? After studying, you don't just directly go to studying the directive principles of state policy. But then what do? You close your book, then you try to recall, okay, Article 13 deals with the Supreme Court. Article 13 basically says that in case of any law or ordinance abrogates the fundamental rights, it can be turned null and void. Now, Article 14 deals with right to equality, the equality before laws and the equal protection of laws. So by actively recalling or trying to recall all the articles and all the schedules and all the different things, you understood that, okay, fine, I understood those topics. It's coming to my mind. Therefore, it is there in my mind. So these are the two important revision methods. The one is active recalling. Now, active recalling doesn't mean that you study the book, you close it, and then you recall. It can be the next day. It can be 1 week later. If you are able to recall even after 1 week, you understood that you have a good foundation regarding the same, and also you had a good conceptual understanding regarding the same as well. Now that's the two basic revision strategies. One is the active recall, wherein you try to recall all the things that you have studied, and the second one is multiple revision strategy, wherein you read the same thing for multiple times, therefore it stays in your mind. Yeah. So any other doubts? Is foundation course needed or self-study is needed? Now, see, it depends. It depends totally on you. Okay. Now, what I'm telling you is that mentorship is the most important component in case of prelims. Now, as I told you, 3 different case studies, right? I told you 3 different case studies and the 3 different problems that these people had. Now, in case of Benjo, there were a lot of issues: strategic, time component, prioritizing areas. In case of Nebin, there was a lack of discipline issue. In case of Nestin, there was a lack of elimination strategy issue. So you need to have the proper guidance and the strategy. Now, if you have the right intellect, you will be able to learn by your own. Okay, but if you learn by your own, as I said before, right, you're going to be studying everything under the sun. So you need to have the proper guidance and the proper strategy. I guess mentorship is the most important component that anyone in UPSC needs to have. Everyone needs to have a good mentor. I don't think foundation courses are mandatory, because if you are given the right book, if you're given the NCERTs, and if you're given the annotated NCERTs, wherein you know what to study, wherein we have already underlined what are the important areas, you don't need to have a good foundation course, right? But then what I'm telling you is that you need to have a proper mentor and the proper mentorship guidance for someone to actually guide you, that so that it wouldn't take you 4 to 5 attempts to get into the holy PDF. So how to interlink PYQ with the static portions? Now, linking PYQ with the static, now you don't need to, know the answer to all the PYQs and all. Okay. What is important is that you need to understand from where UPSC asks the questions. So as we have discussed before, you need to understand, okay, Indus Valley UPSC have asked different times. In case of Indus Valley, UPSC is mostly focusing on the sites such as Dolavira, such as Lothal, such as Harappa. Then you need to focus more on that. So that is how you interlink the PYQs with the static portions. You need to understand which all areas are important. Then a level 2 going to the Buddhism. And in case of Buddhism also, you need to understand which area that UPSC focus. So that's how you interlink the PYQ with the static portions, and you make a one-page notes or a micro-theme based notes regarding the micro-themes. Prashant Agarwal is asking, how do you do active recall for whole subject? No, it's not possible to do active recall for whole subject in one go. Rather, what should you do? You can actually recall the fundamental rights now. Then after some time, you'll be able to recall you try to recall the DPS piece. So that is the only way that you can recall, different chapters. You can't recall the whole Lakshmikant in one go. That would be very difficult. You need to be Indiran or something. But then you can recall chapter by chapter. Okay, let's take a pollution. Okay, mercury pollution, acid rain, other different portions. You can revise or recall in that manner. It's not possible for you to recall the whole Lakshmikant or even PMFIS in one go. So let me tell you. Now, how does Civilsdaily make a difference? Now, Civilsdaily makes a difference in case of our UAP program. Now, what does the UAP program mean? UAP, in the UAP program, you will be allotted a one mentor, right? As I have mentored Nebin, Benjo, and Nest. In case of UAP program, all of you would be assigned a mentor. Now, wherein on the first 4 to 5 months, you will be focusing on the four main foundation subjects. As in we have discussed, we'll be focusing on history, environment, then we'll be discussing on the polity and also geography. Then after that, from December to January, we'll be focusing mostly in the prelims mode, wherein you'll be part of the Dominate Prelims Test series. And also in that case, also you will be assigned a mentor, the same UAP mentor. He will also guide you into your preparation, where you're making mistakes, how how to make your thinking properly, how many questions that you need to attempt in all the cases. So what I'm saying is that you don't need to take a proper foundation course. Rather, you can join our UPP program, which will provide a mentor to you, and he will guide you. He will strategize you. He or she will strategize you. He or she will provide the right guidance and the strategy to that. Yeah. So that's about the 1 year strategy, as I have said right now. You can focus on the main spot and the optional from June to October. After that, also you need to study the important portions that I have discussed, the polity, environment, history, and all the other portions. Then after that, you can, go into prelims mode. You can join the Dominate prelims part, and then you can go on the prelims mode. But before January, you need to finish your options. You need to finish your foundational subjects. And also you need to complete all the GS notes. You need to make the one-page notes as well as I have discussed here. Okay. So anyone, any other doubts? How many days are required to cover NCERT for a fresher or a college student? No, it all depends on how much time do you have. If you're a college student and if you only have 2 to 3 hours, then it will take you more time. But then if you're someone who have around 6 to 7 hours daily, then it will take you less amount of time. So it depends on how much time you can dedicate. How much time you can dedicate each day, Mitra. Harshini, need guidance for pub and optional. Harshini, you can contact the institute. You can contact Civilsdaily. Okay. How can I get annotated NCERT, Samasha Mandhan, and extracted notes? Now, let me tell you, if you want to get all these notes, you can actually join our UAP program, wherein you will also be assigned a mentor, as I have did for all these students. So by getting all these notes as well, you won't be able to, if you get the right notes, you won't be able to, go through it properly. You need to have someone guiding you, pushing you, knowing when to push, where to push. So it matters a lot. Okay. As I told, mentorship is not just about spoon feeding. It's about knowing you. It's about understanding your strength, understanding your weaknesses as a guide, being an emotional support to you. So that's how the mentorship makes a difference. Okay. And I'm very proud to be a mentor. I'm very proud to have mentored around 2,000 students in Kerala as well. Now I'm hoping to make a difference in Delhi as well. So yeah, I guess we can. So as I said, you can join the UAP program under Civilsdaily. We have recently launched the UAP 2026 program. You can be part of the UAP program, and there you will have the proper foundation. You will have access to all the expert notes, all the annotated NCERTs, and all other stuff that Civilsdaily provides. Yeah, and also the most important part, you will be assigned a mentor, wherein he will guide you through all these challenges, strategies, and all those stuff required to get you get your rank into the IPS, IF, or even IPS that all of you are thinking about. Okay. So yeah, you can actually check into the comment section right now. We have a registration link which is assigned which is provided in the comment section. You can actually register in that. Also, if you want to have, a one-on-one mentorship session, you can actually scan the QR code and get assigned a one-on-one mentorship session with either me or one of the mentors here. So once again, thank you all for joining the session. I hope all of your doubts are clarified here. Okay. In case of any doubts, feel free to call Civilsdaily. In the website, you have a number, and also feel free to scan this code to have a one-on-one mentorship session with any of the mentors as well. Okay. So I wish you all a good day, and hoping to see you all in Civilsdaily and also as part of the UAP program as well. Thank you everyone once again. I hope you enjoyed the session.